Hello and welcome to Ableton App. This is Kendall Clark, and today I will be showing you how to utilize the track status display to show you where you are within a given portion of your music. This video is going to touch on some of the things I wrote about in the last Zen of Live article. If you need a refresher on that article, you can get to it using this link. The way I set up my templates for live performance is that I want all of the instruments to be grouped except for the drums. I use group tracks so that I can slim my productions down into 8 channels, since most controllers have 8 channels to work with. The way I've done that here places the drums on channel 1, then I have 2 auxiliary percussion tracks on 2 and 3, the bass is on channel 4, and channels 5 through 8 hold the rest of the melodic content. Again, I'm utilizing groups so that my entire production can fit into 8 channels. You can of course have multiple tracks within a group, but if everything is summed into 8 groups, then it will lay out nicely on your controller. Now, when you launch a clip in Session View, you may be used to seeing an animation by the stop button called the track status display. This informs us where the playhead is within a clip. So right now we have a 1-bar loop in 4/4 time, and you can see below the pie graph that fills in like a clock with every repetition of the clip. The number to the right of the pie graph tells you how many beats are in the loop. Right now it is showing a 4, as there are 4 beats in one measure of 4/4 time. If we use a 2-bar loop, the track status display will show a number 8, and the pie graph will take 2 bars to fill in. The number to the left tells us how many times the clip has looped. For looping clips, the track status display shows a pie graph, and for non-looping clips, you get a minute-second countdown. The animation for the countdown uses a bar that fills up from left to right, and you can see the minutes and seconds as it counts down to 0. I utilize the track status display often during performances to help me know where I am within a clip, or to tell me when it's time to launch the next scene or the next section of music. However, if you look at the tracks that are grouped, when you launch one of their clips, you will notice that the track status display changes to a default 2-bar pie graph. It doesn't matter what clips are in that group, how long they are, or whether they are looping or not. Unfortunately, for a live performance, that doesn't give us a whole lot of information. So that is why I would suggest leaving your drum channel ungrouped. You can still use the 7 other group channels to squeeze in the remainder of your production, but with the drums ungrouped, we can utilize the drum clips to give us an accurate reading in the track status display, which we can then use to embed little performing notes to use throughout the set. Okay, earlier I showed you the difference between looped clips, which show the pie graph, and non-looped clips, which show the timer. For me personally, I think the timer is a lot easier to read, and here's why. The pie graph is easy to follow so long as your loops are short. Notice on this 2-bar loop that it is very easy to see when the next measure is coming up. But if your clip is longer, say 16 or 32 bars, then the pie graph moves so slowly that when you come back around, it is difficult to discern between the last few measures before the clip loops and starts again. Because of this, I like to set up my clips to display the timer countdown. Now you may be wondering, if the timer countdown is only used on non-looping clips, what happens if you're jamming and tweaking the effects when all of a sudden you forget to relaunch your drum clip and your drums cut out, totally killing your vibe? Luckily, there is a way to utilize both, to have the timer and a loop. Here's how I would set that up. So take a look at this little track up here. Let's say that I want to jam this scene for 8 bars, and I want to jam the next scene for 16 bars. I can set up my drum clip's loop bracket in such a way that I can have 8 bars of timer countdown, and still have the loop at the end so I don't have to worry about relaunching the clip. All you need to do is decide how long you want to jam each section. So I want this section of music to play for 8 bars. What I'm going to do is go to my drum clip, and I'm going to set the start position of the clip at bar 1. Then I'm going to push my loop start position until bar 9. So this means I'll have 8 bars in which the clip will play with a nice timer countdown before going into the loop. Similarly in the next section, I want to jam for 16 bars. So I duplicated the MIDI data in my drum loop until I had enough material to place the loop start position at bar 17. And now I have 16 bars of timer countdown before the loop. Having your clips set up in this way allows you to embed little performance notes telling you where you are within a section of music, or when it is time to move on to the next scene or section. So let's check it out. Perhaps if you have an intro section that you're going to free jam on, it's not as important that you set up your clips with the timer. You can see I'm leaving this section kind of open-ended. And let's say I want to skip down to scene 4. If you take a look over on channel 1, sure enough, you have the track status display counting down. It's very easy to follow. I could be tweaking effects or whatever I need to do. And then with just a quick look at the timer, 2, 1, move on to the next section. Very easy to follow. To wrap up this tutorial, we've talked about how using group tracks takes away the use of the track status display. But if you leave your drum channel ungrouped, then you can set your clips up in such a way so that you can have a very intuitive and easy to read display to help you pace your progression through your live set during a performance. Alright, thank you for choosing AbletonOp.com. We'll see you next time.